What is up, everyone else? A little video here just about the connection between leg bone and pelvis and helping the pelvis to mobilize a little bit better. For this, you will need a block, a strap, and if you have a felt pad, you can use that, but a rolled up towel or a rolled up blanket will also be useful. So pause the video, give yourself a moment to find those things, and then we'll start laying down on the floor. So just find a cozy spot. You can lay down on the floor, you can lay down on your mattress, couch, wherever you're going to take said block, place it between the legs. You want to make sure that it's not on the knees. You want to get it as close to the crotch as possible, where it's still comfortable. If having a block between your legs is just thoroughly uncomfortable, then don't do this. Strap wraps around the legs, and tie yourself up. Just let yourself hang out here for a moment. Right, if you don't have a block, you can use a book. There's a nun that I taught, she used her Bible. I just thought that was funny. So you can use a scarf for the strap, whatever helps you to kind of just get that support in the legs. And the idea here is to let the legs completely relax. Right, we often hold tension in the legs unwittingly. So just giving yourself permission to be supported by something else other than your muscular structure and skeletal structure. And as you like, taking a deep breath into the nose. Exhale with a big sigh. Deep breath in once more. Exhale with a big sigh. Just allow yourself to hang out here for a little bit. I'm going to be here for about 5 minutes. You may want to be here for longer. If that is the case, feel free to pause it whenever I continue on, or even pause it right now. Just let yourself vibe here. Sometimes it feels good to be in this position. Letting those legs completely relax. You may notice that the legs favor one side or the other. That's okay. If it's pulling the whole body down, right, if you're kind of being dragged to the floor in a twist, then you might want to consider grabbing a chair. And then let the legs come up on the chair. Letting yourself relax here. This is also a lovely place and position to be, completely relaxing the low back and the legs. Taking a deep breath in and out of the nose. If you're congested or if there's a reason why you shouldn't breathe through the nose, just continue to breathe through the mouth. But if you are able, definitely put effort into breathing in and out of the nose. As we breathe through the nose, it promotes the production of nitric oxide in the brain. A couple of other chemicals as well. Just allowing yourself to soften and settle. This is great for low back pain. Or even if you're just tired. If you're going to be laying here for a long time, it might be useful to grab a blanket, just to throw over yourself. And all of that feels complete. Again here, if you want to stay here for much longer, go for it. You don't have to move along with me. Feel free to pause it, let yourself rest here. And then as you like, just continue on. Maybe you just want to skip the rest of the video and be here forever. Go for it. Do your thing, live your life. If you're ready to move around a little bit, if your legs are on the chair, feel free to just kind of take the strap off the block. If your feet are on the floor too, go ahead and do that. And just set those things aside. Push yourself away from the chair or push the chair away from you. However that makes the most sense. And we're still going to stay laying down on the ground, but have that rolled up blanket or towel handy. We're going to start by mobilizing through the pelvis. What we're going to do is we're just going to tuck the pelvis forward as if we're trying to get the groin to the belly button. So tucking and releasing. Tuck and release. And this isn't about squeezing intensely. It's just about noticing a smoothness in the movement. And so if you notice a jerkiness, if you notice that the legs have to squeeze or open, make the motion in the hips smaller. If you notice the jaw clenching, make that movement in the hips smaller. You can also play with moving the pelvis in the opposite direction. So instead of pulling the pelvis close to you, you can push the pelvis further away. So pulling close, kind of drawing the groin towards the belly button, and then pushing the groin away from the belly button so the tailbone kind of rolls into the ground. And as you do that, notice what does the head do? If the head kind of pulls down and comes along for the ride, make the motion in the pelvis smaller. Sometimes these movements can be frustrating because we want to move big, we want to feel, we want to be intense. But intensity plus intensity does not equal rest and ease. Intensity plus intensity equals burnout. So giving yourself an option and an opportunity to practice ease, to practice stability. And in that act of practicing ease, we find more of it in the day-to-day. Always remember, the Yoga Sutras say, Stiram Sukham Asanam. Sweetly, with stability, we move. When this rocking of the pelvis feels complete to you, let yourself rest for a moment, taking a deep breath in. Exhale with a big sigh. You may want to focus on that movement. You may want to stay there. You may be like, hey, I really liked that legs on the chair thing, or I liked the block between the legs thing. If you really enjoyed those things and you want to go back to it, go back to it. No one is stopping you. But if you want to move on and explore a little bit more of the leg bone in the pelvis, there's a simple version, which we'll start with. It's just one leg at a time. Let the one leg drop down towards the side, and then let that leg move back up. So the knee drops down towards its respective side, and then let the knee move back up. You might notice that at a certain point of that leg moving down towards the floor, that the pelvis likes to come along for the ride, and there's almost this twisting. There's this motion that happens in the pelvis and the opposite leg. When you notice that, let the leg stop and return it back to neutral. Make sure you're coming all the way back to neutral. Sometimes we can cheat. Feel that pelvis stable on the floor. Let the leg drop down as far as it can go without the pelvis moving, and then bringing the leg back up. Especially if there's pain or sensitivity in the low back, this might be where you want to stay. Just moving that one leg at a time. And this isn't forcing the pelvis to stay here either, right? Again, what we were saying earlier, intensity plus intensity does not equal ease. Right? We want to move in a range of motion where the leg feels comfortable moving by itself. That's what we want to train. And if we're forcing the pelvis to be steady, then we're not moving in an easeful way. And so let the sensations, let yourself not grip in the pelvis, and just let the leg move independently. Feel free to switch to the other side. I'll turn around. Feel free to switch to the other side whenever you need to. You will notice that one side differs from the other. You might be able to go further or in a smaller range. It just depends. So just notice how you are moving. Making sure that that leg comes all the way back up to center. Playing with this for as long as you need to. You may do this one time today, or you may find one of these movements throughout the course of the whole practice to be useful. Just let yourself pick one thing to do every day. Right? You don't have to sit here and go through all 15 minutes of this. Give yourself permission to focus on one thing. Our lives are already super busy. So give yourself permission to just focus on one thing, and then let everything stem from there. And when this motion in the leg feels complete, let yourself rest, taking a deep breath in. Exhale with a big sigh. Next one is a variation of what we just did. So coming up to a nice seat, feet on the floor in front of you, hands can be braced behind you. And you're just going to let the knees drop and fall to one side, and then lifting and going to the opposite side. So just letting yourself go back and forth. If there's a lot of pain in the low back, this one may not be for you, but give it a try. And if you notice that there's just a lot of sensation, then maybe go back to those motions on the floor. You can even do this, a variation of this on the floor. If you're still laying down, you can just let the knees drop, just tick-tocking the knees from side to side. Maybe that feels more useful to you. What if you're joining me in this seated position? Just allowing the legs to drop from side to side. Ooh. Go for as long or as little as you need. And again, feel free to pause during any of these movements just to see how things feel. Just to explore a little bit more in your own time. That's really what this is about. It's not about following directions. It's about connecting to you, connecting to your body, connecting to your seat of self. And when all of that feels complete, just let yourself rest, taking a deep breath in. Exhale with a big sigh. And one last thing, we'll go back down to the ground. We're going to use our roll. And so laying back down, feet on the floor, knees up. You're going to take this roll, and you are just going to place it on the top of the sacrum. So that way you're kind of getting a little bit of a bend. It's like right on the sacrum bones. If it's super uncomfortable, try unrolling the towel a little bit so the towel is a little bit smaller. If you have a big bulky towel, definitely unroll it. So that way you got something about, I don't know, about 2 inches thick, maybe 3 inches. Just depends on the flexibility that you have in your spine and pelvis. And we're going to go back to that original movement that we made. We're going to let the pelvis tuck, and then we're going to let the pelvis extend. And so just lifting and lowering, nothing wild. I'm realizing now on a wood floor that the towel likes to move. And so if you're on a carpet, that might be a little bit better. If you're on a yoga mat, that might actually be a little bit better. I generally don't practice with a yoga mat though. Generally I'm on this carpet behind me. And so just let yourself kind of connect to this movement in a way that makes the most sense. Just notice what sensations you feel in the legs, right? If you notice the hamstrings pulling, if you notice the calves pulling, make the motion smaller. Make it a tiny motion. It does not require much to be effective. Just let it be the pelvis that moves. And when all of that feels complete, just let yourself rest. If you like it on this roll, feel free to stay here. If you're like, oh, I hate the roll, feel free to take it out. Just let yourself pause here for a moment or two. Taking a deep breath in. Exhale with a big sigh. Taking a deep breath in. And exhale with a big sigh. And just breathing in and out naturally. And as you're ready, just letting yourself come off this roll, maybe rolling over to one side and pushing yourself up into a comfortable seat. Just taking a notice. If you want to, stand up. Take your time though, there's no rush. If you want to, just stand up and notice how you feel. Notice if there's a difference in how you're moving and how things connect to the pelvis and the hips, or to the pelvis and the legs rather. So it's just kind of a little thing that you can do. I hope that helps you to find a sense of spaciousness and ease. And if there's any questions, feel free to write something down in the comments. Happy to answer any questions that may arise for you. Take care, everyone.